Hello, readers of Every Word, and welcome to Every Word 365. I'm your host, Christina Munoz-Madsen, and today we're reading Haggai, just 2 short chapters. But first, this is from yesterday's reflection page. God's patience is great, but it is not endless. And while He may be long-suffering today, there will come a day when those who have rejected Him will do the suffering. On a 3x5-inch card, make a list of any grievances you are carrying against others that, from your perspective, are as yet unsettled. Now take your list of unrighted wrongs, commit each to the Lord in prayer, and then tear up the list. Practice showing mercy. Leave justice to God. A great challenge for all of us to do. I'm sure we all have at least a few, if not a list, of those unsettled grievances that we can just give to God. I know that He will take care of it in the end. He'll take care of all of it in the end. So, on to today's reading. Love today's daily walk. Very convicting. If someone were to determine your priorities by looking at the way you spent the last 169 hours, what would they decide? And what will your priorities be as you spend the next 168 hours? Ouch, I always say, because I do a lot of things and I run around like crazy sometimes, and I think if someone were watching me, they would not say Jesus Christ is at the top of my list when it comes to priorities, and that hurts. So always a good reminder for me, and I'm still a work in progress. I'm still trying to do my best. On to Haggai. The first chapter and first verse identifies the author of the book as the prophet Haggai. The book was written in approximately 520 BC. Haggai sought to challenge the people of God concerning their priorities. He called them to reverence and glorify God by building the temple in spite of local and official opposition. Haggai called them not to be discouraged because this temple would not be quite as richly decorated as Solomon's. He exhorted them to turn from the uncleanness of their ways and to trust in God's sovereign power. The book of Haggai is a reminder of the problems the people of God faced at this time, how the people courageously trusted in God, and how God provided for their needs. Will the people of God reconsider their priorities, take courage, and act on the basis of God's promises? God sought to warn the people to heed His words. Not only did God warn them, but He also offered promises through His servant Haggai to motivate them to follow Him. Because the people of God reversed their priorities and failed to put God in first place in their lives, Judah was sent into Babylonian exile. In response to Daniel's prayer and in fulfillment of God's promises, God directed Cyrus, the Persian king, to allow the Jews in exile to go back to Jerusalem. A group of Jews returned to their land with great joy, put God first in their lives, worshiped Him, and began to rebuild the Temple of Jerusalem without the aid of the local people who lived in Palestine. Their courageous faith was met with opposition from the local people as well as the Persian government for approximately 15 years. As with most of the books of the minor prophets, Haggai ends with promises of restoration and blessing. In the last verse, Haggai 2:23, God uses a distinctly messianic title in reference to Zerubbabel, my servant. Through Haggai, God promises to make him like a signet ring, which was a symbol of honor, authority, and power, somewhat like a king's scepter used to seal letters and decrees. Zerubbabel, as God's signet ring, represents the house of David and the resumption of the messianic line interrupted by the exile. Zerubbabel reestablished the Davidic line of kings, which would culminate in the millennial reign of Christ. Zerubbabel appears in the line of Christ on both Joseph's side and Mary's side. The book of Haggai draws attention to common problems most people face even today. Haggai asks us to, 1, examine our priorities to see if we are more interested in our own pleasures than doing the work of God. I always say, ouch, I enjoy doing the work of God, but when you look at my priorities, I think you definitely could be concerned. So that's me saying I need to repent and do better. Number 2, to reject a defeatist attitude when we run into opposition or discouraging circumstances. Number 3, to confess our failures and seek to live pure lives before God. Number 4, to act courageously for God because we have the assurance that He is with us always and is in full control of our circumstances. And 5, to rest secure in God's hands, knowing that He will abundantly bless us as we faithfully serve Him. Wow, and thank you, Haggai. Can you imagine if we all actually did that? I think our world would look a little bit different. And I'm including a lot of links on Haggai from gotquestions.org because it always helps with further understanding if you want to look into things more, that kind of thing. And of course, I will include the Bible Project overview video. Even on these short books, it's very good to see and to learn more from. And that means there are only 2 Old Testament books left. So tomorrow is Zechariah 1 through 2. You are doing great. Hang in there. We're almost to the New Testament, and I hope you're enjoying these short, insightful books. Happy reading! We've been talking about our trip to Greece, which will follow the footsteps of Paul. And today, here's more. On our 3rd day, we will board our cruise ship and sail from Athens to the quaint Isle of Mykonos, called the Island of Windmills. This is a stunningly picturesque town with a maze of tiny streets and whitewashed steps, lanes, houses, and churches gathered around its harbor in the middle of a wide bay. Experience the waterfront lined with shops and cafes, and then stroll the charming walkways. Just send me a message if you'd like more information on this incredible trip to Greece in 2025 with Travel with Friends.